From Screen Junkies Studios in the heart of Los Angeles, this is Screen Junkies Movie Fights. Now your host, Andy Signore.
Hello, Screen Junkies, and welcome to another episode of Movie Fights. I'm so excited to have Schmo versus Schmo, Profiler versus Profiler. This is going to be an epic round of movie fights. Before we get to them, I want to tease what's coming up on today's episode. We have reactions to the Pixels trailer, Adam Sandler, Peter Dinklage, Kevin James. What do we think of that? We also are going to pit together a Marvel character versus a Star Wars character since Disney owns them. What would we want to see if we could have anything we wanted? Also, what movies shouldn't be remade? So many fun topics that we have coming up. If you don't like a topic and you're watching on YouTube, don't leave. Just skip ahead. Bottom right corner, pick your fight. You can then zoom on to another battle or go and re-listen to one you liked the best. Tell me I was wrong. Plenty of options, so stay tuned, please. Also, I wanted to also thank everyone so much for subscribing to us on iTunes. If you haven't already, we have a new link in the description on YouTube below. Please go subscribe to our new feed. We were #1 on Film and TV thanks to you. Hey. That was so awesome. I thank you very much. We'd love to keep going there, so please support us by commenting, subscribing, rating. If you haven't done it yet, do yourself a favor and go do that. Also, I want to, that's it. That's all about housekeeping. I want to introduce our gladiators, but before I do that, let's cue the clip.
Today's fighters are Kristian Harloff, host of the Schmoes Know movie show, 0 wins, 1 loss. Alicia Malone, co-host of Profiles and AMC Rewind, 1 win, 1 loss. Scott Mantz, Access Hollywood film critic, first-time fighter.
Wow. Epic.
That's so awesome.
Now you guys are going on, well, I'll explain Monday Mania in a second. Let me just walk through each of you. Alicia, thanks for coming back. You were so close to taking the title.
Thanks for having me back. I know, Dan, I'll get you one day, but it's so much fun doing the show. I'm a bit terrified, though, because these two are formidable opponents. They're also my buddies.
You know
so
them
it's like
well.
we're pitting family against each other.
That's why we did it.
That's why you did it. You're cruel. You are cruel.
We knew this would be a fun personal bracket. All right, Kristian, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be
We got to
back.
get a win up there, buddy.
Well, last time I was here, we did like the special tag team with Jeremy. It was a lot of fun.
Kind of a mess.
It was fun. It was like a pay-per-view fun.
You kind of threw us all for a loop when you teamed up with them.
Well, things happen.
People either loved it or hated it. I loved it.
Yeah, I want to go this back and forth because I do know these guys really well.
Let's see how.
And even though they're profilers, Mantz is also a schmo, so it's nice to have a three schmo
bracket.
Yeah,
it's
training. Fun.
Movie Mantz, I'm so glad to get you here. People on Twitter, we wanted to get you. You're here. Are you excited to be here?
I have been wanting to get on the show for the longest time, but I'm an underdog here. You guys have done the show before. I'm a newbie, but I'm pumped. I had my triple grande, not fat mocha this morning. Yeah. I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt.
You're bringing
his Star Wars shirt, and she's got an alien shirt. We're
fighting already. This is great. And I got a Shawshank shirt.
Yeah, that's
completely out of the. All right, and on the couch, you know him and love him. It's Dan Murrell on the Dan Cam. Champ belt. Now, Dan, in order to take you, let's explain this bracket, shall we? I think we have the graphic here to explain. Do we have we do have a movie bracket for Monday Mania. The way this works is last episode, Roger Barr beat Aaron and Jason to go on to the first round. The winner of today will finish the 3rd seat, and those 2 people will take on Nick Mundy. The winner of that battle goes against the champion for the title belt round of Movie Fights Champion to see who takes it. Everyone follows, so a lot is on the line here.
A lot is on the line. Makes me even more nervous, but that's okay.
So don't screw up. It's important. Money Mania is in effect because Nick takes this very seriously. All right, and the great words. You all know how I do this, right? Since you're new, I want to make sure I've explained the rules. I'm looking at the best argument. So make sure you're listening. I want you to pitch your best things, but make sure you all are giving me the best argument, taking down the other 2 options. Everyone understand? Any questions?
Yeah.
We are on for the fights. In the great words of Ron Burgundy and so many others.
Now let's do this.
This is where we fight!
Fight!
Fight.
Let them fight.
Round 1. The trailer for the new Adam Sandler film Pixels came out based on that viral video way back where the video game characters came and attacked. They've managed to make a feature-length movie about it, and we saw finally our first taste of it. So for Fight 1, Luke Ridgway on Twitter asked us, does the trailer for the new Adam Sandler movie Pixels excite you? So did the trailer excite you? Are we excited for this movie based on the trailer? And we were going to start with you, Alicia.
It did not.
Oh.
The trailer did the exact opposite to what it was supposed to do. I was excited by the concept. I thought it sounded cool. The aliens it's like turning our nostalgic love for these games against us, turning our childhood against us. That sounds awesome. The trailer started out pretty cool. It's got some news footage, quite serious. I love when sci-fi movies do that. It felt a bit like Independence Day, had the shadows going over the buildings. And then I saw Adam Sandler. And the first thing he says is, Pac-Man is a bad guy? And I thought, here we go again. Another state the obvious Adam Sandler character, because that's what he does. That's his humor. It's very broad humor. And I know that Adam Sandler appeals to a lot of people overseas. That's because slipping on a banana peel is funny in any language. Funny. He doesn't explain the subtleties of American society or anything new or different. He just says exactly what you know he's going to say, and he does exactly what you know he's going to do. And it looks like that is what's going to happen in Pixels. Also not excited to see Kevin James as the President of the United States.
It's a comedy.
What hope do we have for us if he is the president? Also, Peter Dinklage as a sidekick? No way. I want to see him front and center.
It was light on the Dinklage.
Yeah. The
trailer,
look,
at least.
Yeah. It was too light on the Dinklage. Too light on the Dinklage.
Too light on the Dinklage.
And the look of this Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and those characters are kind of cool, but it also looked like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but worse. And also it reminded me of Wreck-It Ralph, but worse. So this trailer was viewed 34 million times in 24 hours. But having a look over Twitter, most of the comments I saw were bad. So that's why the Pixels trailer did not excite me. It did not do its job.
Shots fired all across that round. I loved it. She did not hold back. Kristian, your thoughts?
We're going to be on the same page here because I wasn't excited for it all. Because the reason why, when the movie's premise was announced, like everybody else who'd watched the trailer, I said, this sounds cool. I mean, and I don't care what had happened so far with Adam Sandler and his Grown Ups 2 and all those movies, because this was a premise. Okay, maybe he's getting away from that stuff, and we're going to get into the nostalgia and play towards the Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and our generation, because that's what Adam Sandler is. So I'm like, okay, great. Maybe he's now going to step it up a bit and go the Independence route, go the Scott Pilgrim route. And then when you see it, it's the same kind of jokes, and the trailer progresses into mediocrity. Like when you get to that end, that bit with don't worry, he's my son. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be Pac-Man biting guy's arm. There's no laugh. And I think the thing with Peter Dinklage is they're going to try to kind of mimic him off of who Son of Kong was based off of. The
King of Kong.
Yeah, the King of Kong. When you... The mullet is great, but like you guys said, you don't focus enough on one of the guys you're going there for. When Peter Dinklage's casting came out, that's what everyone was buzzing about. Where's Dinklage? Where's Dinklage? And you don't see it. It turns into another, with the teaming of James and Sandler, it now becomes another Sandler and James movie as opposed to a fun premise movie. And this is what Sandler's been doing recently. So Adam Sandler has the acting chops. You've seen it in Men, Women, and Children. Even though that movie wasn't great, you've seen it in Punch Drunk Love. You've seen it. Now, I'm not telling you that this needs to be an Oscar contender, but this movie could be a movie that both has heart and a fun premise. Even like Jumanji was a movie that, even though you had Robin Williams, there's a heart mixed with a lot of fun and a fun premise. That could have been this movie. And I think your Scott Pilgrim reference was the best. To have a Edgar Wright type person directing this movie, it just seems like another Sandler vehicle to me.
I saw a lot of you didn't seem to like their arguments. Where do you stand, man?
I disagree with their arguments, both of them, because I think Pixels looks like fun. Now, full disclosure, if my hair was not enough of an indication, I'm a little bit older than you guys, so I remember playing these video games. I played Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Asteroids, Donkey Kong, Centipede, Zaxxon, Dig Dug. That's what I went to arcades for. So seeing these video games come to life like that, I really got a big smile on my face. Now, Adam Sandler is at a crossroads, because he can't keep doing the stupid comedies anymore. I mean, Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2, while they made $500 million worldwide combined, you were right, Men, Women, and Children, his stabs at serious movies don't fare as well. That movie didn't even make $1 million. But when I saw the trailer for Pixels, yes, I thought of Wreck-It Ralph, and I also thought, okay, and this is what won me over, it captured the spirit to me of the Lego movie. The Lego movie, when I first saw that trailer, I know you're giving me that dirty look. I know. I see that dirty look, and it's not because I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt. You're wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Yeah, I'm not psyching you out. Go,
Okay.
do your
Here's
thing. Do your
the
thing.
He's
sell.
letting you talk for once.
Here's the sell. Here's the sell on this, guys. Okay. When I saw the trailer for the Lego movie, I went, "You've got to be kidding me! A movie based on building blocks. This movie is going to suck." Big time. And what was it? It was brilliant. It was inventive. It was wonderful. It was for men, women, and children, parents and their kids. And it should have been nominated for Best Animated Feature. In fact, it should have won.
That's not
Best
the
Animated
argument
Feature.
here.
I know. I'm digressing
Keep us
here.
on track.
My point that I'm bringing back to Pixels is you never know. This movie could be a lot better than both of you are thinking. And I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because it looks like fun and it looks inventive. And I love these 80s video games. And I think that Adam Sandler needs to do a movie like this to reinvent his career, and it sold me. I'm pumped for Pixels.
Great. So now now we're all for game. He says it looks like fun. That's really the heart of it. We can't guess what it is. We can guess on what we've seen. So based on what we've seen, does it look fun?
No.
Not for what it.
not funny.
Everything he said just kind of had argument. It seems like fun. The premise sounds like fun. It's the delivery of the trailer that is not fun. Because yeah, the stuff seen Pac-Man, like Alicia said, that's fun. But it's the humor, and he's bringing up Lego. This movie doesn't have Lord and Miller.
It doesn't have.
Lord and Miller is why that movie's so good. This movie has the same team that brought you a lot of the same team that brought you Grown Ups 2, those movies. So that's where you go.
Who is directing it? I thought Chris Columbus, right?
It's Columbus is directing it, but you still have everyone.
So it's a new.
Bingo.
It's a new. Yeah, but Columbus has had some. They took Columbus off of Harry Potter because they went the first one because I don't know if he's going to be able to carry.
He did the first two Harry Potters.
He didn't do this.
Yes,
he
he
did the
did.
first two. He didn't do the
the
third.
first
He did
two.
the third.
Dan is nodding his head.
But once he left, that's when the series went into another direction when they brought in Cuarón. But that's a different argument. What we're talking about here is as far as you're bringing up fun and Lego Movie. This is not Lego Movie. This is not even close to Lego Movie because when you saw the trailer of Lego Movie for me,
Yeah.
I knew what Lego had been working on. I said this could be some clever bits here, and the talent they got behind it, the way that they were taking it. What you
Well,
saw on screen developed into that actual movie.
The thing that I loved about the Lego movie was the really smart self-referential humor. And it was very clever in the way that it did it. This trailer, there's one that's like, oh, it's just a barrel about Donkey Kong. And then, oh, barrels don't hurt. Oh, yes, it does.
Right.
That's not clever humor.
predictable humor.
It's predictable
yeah.
humor. And it gave away what I imagined to be one of the biggest jokes in the film,
Right.
which is the inventor of Pac-Man coming in and then Pac-Man turning against his creator.
But that's just the
Fun
tip
fact:
of the iceberg.
the voice of the creator, his last line was ADR'd by our own John Bailey. Shout out to John Bailey. Kill that monstrosity was John Bailey.
Oh, that's awesome.
You have
The
to do
point I'm
pickup.
trying to make here is that you can only tell so much by a trailer. The trailer won me over. I thought it had potential. Hopefully there's going to be a lot to this movie that will speak to both adults and kids. That hopefully there will be levels to it. You can't just appeal to kids with a movie about 80s video games because guess what? They don't know these 80s video
Exactly.
games.
Yeah, I
they
agree.
did not play them.
And that's what
That
I'm
is
thinking.
why
Like, who does this film appeal
Yeah,
to?
that's exactly right.
It's not
why-
appealing to the 80s generation.
not.
That
I
is
was born
why-
in the 80s. I played Pac-Man and I played Donkey Kong, and
I was
don't
born
care.
in the 60s, the late 60s,
So does
mind
it
you,
appeal
and
to your generation
It does appeal to my generation.
and not the kids and
well,
not my generation?
That's because
the moviegoers.
That is because.
Throw the
Wait a
ropes.
minute, hang on. Okay, I've still got my
Final
argument
thought,
here.
yes.
Final thought here. No one expected the Lego movie to be as great as it was. I didn't see any.
But you're going
wait,
back
wait,
to that.
let
But you're
me
going back
finish.
to that because
wait
of
a
the
minute.
team.
Let me finish.
Let him
I bring
finish.
up the Lego
Let him
movie
finish.
because that is a
Christian, let me
perfect
make my own
example.
rulings. I'm
Lego
listening.
movie is a perfect example of a film that defied expectations based on the trailer. I think that potential is clear for Pixels as well. It looks clever. It looks inventive. The jokes, okay, maybe the jokes in the trailer could have been better to sell the movie. I'm with you on that. But it still won me over. I'm excited enough to see it. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because I see a lot of potential in what I saw.
I would normally have you guys give a final argument, but you don't need to because you guys are going to both win because you both gave great arguments. I'm not going to team you up. I'm just giving you each a point. I think you relied too much on the Lego movie in your argument, and I think they had a little bit more. That was loud. They had a little bit more of a. But that was right. You're a first timer, first round. You know,
Good, yeah,
it
good
was a
start.
good argument.
You did really good.
They were hitting you hard. So I'm giving you both points. Just
Don't make
'cause
me
I
pull
don't-
out the cocaine donkey.
I don't think it's fair.
Do not make me pull out the cocaine donkey. It's
All right.
gonna get
So
ugly.
Alicia and
Keep it
Christian
in
are
the
both on the board. Round two.
You'll get there.
Speaking of movie trailers, we've seen a lot of people in our YouTube comments complaining that movie trailers reveal too much. We've
Yes.
talked about this a little bit even last round. which movie? So that brings us to fight 2. Which movie trailer revealed too much of the movie? Let's go back, remember our trailers, and then when you watch the movie, you're like, damn it, they really showed it all in the trailer. Which of those trailers bugged you the most? And we'll start with you, Kristian.
Now, even though I love this movie, and it's one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time, the first Avengers trailer, for me, gave away too much because they showed so many. They showed so many of them that you already knew the build-up for this movie was coming. Like, when you saw the first initial trailer of them all standing around, and you had Iron Man and Thor and Cap, you had them all there. You're like, I'm in. If you're a Marvel fan, you were the buzz, and it was tracking well to do phenomenal numbers before the last 3 trailers even came out. And then they show all the scenes at the end with New York, and the one scene that gets me is when Hulk saves Iron Man. You show that pivotal moment when Stark is falling at the very end of it. Now, look, the argument against that could be, well, that's just an action scene. That's just an action scene that doesn't have a lot of impact on the movie, and it certainly does because it's an emotional moment that when Iron Man he's the first time Tony Stark is really getting away from being selfish and he's saving the universe, and he's falling, and you see the Hulk save him. When I saw that in the theater, I went, okay. Here's the part where Hulk saves him because I haven't seen that yet. And there's just all these moments that I knew were coming in the Avengers that I didn't need to see as a fan because I was there to watch the Avengers fight. And so every moment that I had seen in the trailer and I saw it coming, it took away from a little bit. Even when Banner turns away and becomes the Hulk, there was just too much of it. That being said, I love the film. I just think that I might have liked it just a little bit more had I not seen some of those pivotal moments.
Mantz.
My trailer. I'll never forget this. I mean, it's a little bit older than Avengers, but when I saw the trailer for Castaway with Tom Hanks, this movie came out on December 22nd, 2000. Plays Chuck Noland, Federal Express guy who is stuck on a deserted island. So the trailer sets up how he lives his life by the clock. He gets in this horrible plane crash. He survives. He ends up on an island alone. He has to fend for himself.
Sold.
That is where
I'm in.
That is where the trailer should have ended. But what does it do? What does this trailer do? It shows him getting off the island. It shows him back in civilization. What's the surprise when you see this movie? What's left? There is nowhere else to go. And as a result, there was nothing surprising about this film. Showing Tom Hanks get off the island in Castaway in the trailer, you should have gone into this movie thinking, what if he never makes it off? The movie should not have even hinted that he was going to make it off the island. Now, Robert Zemeckis, who directed that film, he also directed Flight with Denzel Washington. That was a perfect example of a trailer that did not give away too much. Because when I saw Flight, and I'm just keeping it on Robert Zemeckis, I had no idea that the movie was about a raging alcoholic. Because the trailer did not show too much. Same director, so it's a fair comparison. But Castaway, they never should have showed him getting off the island.
Good note. Alicia, where do you stand?
Well,
What trailer annoyed you? Yeah.
Yeah, a trailer that showed too much. It pretty much showed the entire story, and it definitely ruined the huge twist. Was the trailer for 2006 Children of Men?
Oh yeah.
By Alfonso Cuarón, the great
movie.
dystopian thriller. So the trailer starts out with Clive Owen's voice, and he sets up the world that there's no hope for the world because there's no more women getting pregnant, no more babies getting made. Then it spoils pretty much everything. So firstly, it spoils the big shock moment when Clive Owen's character leaves the coffee shop and then it explodes after him, which should have been a great moment that had you jumping out of the edge of your seat. But if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what's coming. Then it spoils the kidnapping scene when Julianne Moore's character takes Clive Owen's character and says that he has an important mission. Then the biggest thing of all, it spoils the fact that there is one pregnant woman left in the world and it's up to Clive Owen to save her. That should have been the big surprise twist. After seeing this trailer, the first act was ruined for me because I knew exactly what was going to come. It's not to say I didn't like the film, I did, but I just knew what was coming. And it also spoiled the relationship between Julianne Moore's character and Clive Owen's character. It shows you the photo, you know that they had a kid, and then it goes on to show glimpses of all the climactic moments for the rest of the film, including the boat scene at the end. So if you've seen the trailer, you know what's going to happen. This trailer is pretty much just exposition scenes. It's all the characters explaining their role and what Clive Owen had to do, all edited together, and it's really lazy. It could have been a really exciting trailer that didn't give away much, but instead it gave away the whole plot.
Fight.
Well, the reason that I would say that, I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from, but the difference is both your movies when they came out didn't have YouTube, didn't have the rewatchability to where everybody's forwarding around. You keep seeing it over and over again. Now the points are that you made it to where you something like Castaway.
We had
2006.
Yeah,
I
Not
saw
the
it
trailers.
on
The trailers when the
2006,
trailers were not as popular. That's fine. You can
Dan, will you check that?
The way that they are, the way that they're today. But watch even those particular ones that they mentioned did not have the rewatchability as say the Avengers did. Let's say that in 2006 they were going around as much. Did not have the kind of the anticipation that Avengers did. So to show all those in that blockbuster. But to go to your point on Castaway, Castaway to me had to show a lot of that because first of all for Zemeckis, what he was doing on that movie, he wanted to show that you're not going to kill off Tom Hanks, one of the most bankable stars at the time. So they wanted to show what the guy's struggle at the very end and what he's going to do, because when you go to see that movie, you go to see Tom Hanks survive on that island for the amount of time that he's there, and you don't know, by the way, what exactly is going to happen, how things are retold, and when you see him getting off the island at the very end, what kind of recollection that is and how that's playing into the overall story of it. And with Children of Men, that's another one to where you see Children of Men, you go for the premise of it. I think that when you go back, you see the movie and watch the trailer again, that's when I think you go, well, maybe they showed it, because the first time you watch it,
I saw the trailer first, and as I watched the movie, I was like, I know exactly what's coming.
Yeah, see,
I remember a scene where he puts her in a boat. Okay, I know that
right.
it's coming.
And
I know
do you think that
pregnant
ruined the
woman-
movie for you overall, or did you still love the movie?
I liked the movie, but I think it would have ruined it more because I knew what was coming. And with the Hulk Iron Man moment, it didn't ruin Avengers for me. There was still plenty of twists in there.
But you're not as much of a fan of that genre, though. Like for the fans of that genre, when you see the Hulk saving Iron Man, there's no stress to it anymore. There's no stress.
There was never going to be stress because you're not going to kill off Iron Man or the Hulk in the Avengers.
Exactly. First of all, when it comes to the Avengers, I mean, what exactly wasn't going to be given away in the trailer for Avengers? It's the Avengers, and none of these characters are going to die. None of them are in any real danger. The whole fight between the Hulk and Iron Man or Thor, whoever it was in Avengers, was a pointless scene anyway, but I digress. Children of Men is one of the best movies of all time. When I did my top 10 list of the best movies of the first decade of the 21st century, Children of Men was my #1 movie. It is an absolute masterpiece. It is the Blade Runner of the 21st century.
It should not have been given away in the trailer.
I agree with you that they spoiled the first act in the trailer for Children of Men.
Huge mistake.
But they spoiled the second and third act of Castaway by showing him get off the goddamn island. No, you want to know. I'm not saying that they're going to kill Tom Hanks, but what if he never makes it off? What if they find him on the island? What if he doesn't want to leave?
What do you remember most about? What do you remember most about?
Wilson get married?
Wilson, you brought up Wilson. They don't show a lot of Wilson. They don't show the relationship with Wilson. That's what do you remember most about Castaway? The relationship with him and Wilson, and how he was able to power through.
They show him,
but not in the context of what the powers. When you think of Castaway, what do you think?
They showed him get. You don't want to see him get off the island because you're sitting there. I remember watching the trailer, going like, oh, I mean, I literally sat there watching the trailer for that movie in the summer 2000. By the way, I saw the trailer for that movie on the day that I saw What Lies Beneath, which was also written by Robert Zemeckis, directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
That movie came out on July 21st, 2000.
He's good with dates.
That was a Friday.
Rain Man.
Of course it was a Friday. I'm like Rain Man with movie dates. And I remember going like, what? They showed him getting off the island. I turned to my buddy. I said, why even bother seeing this movie? That was 15 years ago. And I'm still thinking.
The thing about Castaway for me, it's not so much how he gets off the island, it's the journey to get there.
It's always
because
about the
most
journey.
Of the film takes place on the island, and it's about the struggle. It's man against nature, and that's what the crux of the movie is about.
But even though
So
watching the trailer for Children of Men, yeah, they gave a lot away, but I still was completely floored by the scope of that film, the cinematography, you know, the power of that film.
You brought up Flight.
But that note gives me. I want to ask each of you, like, did it ruin your movie?
Yes,
and which one? Which one? I'm just trying to base on which one it ruined the most. And
I'd say that.
Do you love the movie Children of Men?
I do, but I'll say that the trailer gave away all the plot points, not just one big twist. It gave away everything. So it ruined the experience for me. Castaway, seeing that he got off the island, didn't ruin the experience of the movie because I was so moved by the journey. And that's the main part of Castaway is the island, not the getting off. Getting off is right at the end.
I love the Avengers, but that moment did bother me. And the fact they're not going to kill the Avengers, yeah, of course they're not going to kill the Avengers. But the whole thing is the fact that you knew they weren't going to necessarily kill Han Solo, but what happened? They had to go on a journey and start a Return of the Jedi. So maybe something could have happened to Iron Man. That a whole new thing happens for the next movie, the next couple of movies. Iron Man 3 could have benefited from that. What if he got hurt? So I didn't know that took me out of it. The movie itself, yeah, I loved it.
Final thought?
Absolutely, Castaway. It did
Versus
ruin the
these
moment
two?
for me. Versus these two, more than any of the films that they're talking about. Seeing him getting off the island bothered me. I mean, yes, the story, the relationship between Tom Hanks and Wilson was a great subplot. I mean, who else could make you feel genuine emotion
For a volleyball.
Right. Than Tom Hanks when he loses it at seas? Wilson. But when I remember
They didn't show that moment.
They didn't show that
No,
moment.
they did
I mean,
not.
So it didn't ruin it.
Nope.
Didn't ruin it for me because they didn't show that moment.
But it's a 2.5-minute trailer. They're not going to show all of that. But they showed a key point: him making it off the island. Big mistake.
Get it. Dan, you had some cleanup anything?
Yes,
Before I make my
just
ruling?
wanted to answer your question about Kristian, the online trailer thing. Neither Children of Men nor Castaway got YouTube. Well, Castaway predates YouTube. Children of Men did not have a YouTube officially released trailer when it was
But it had like
released.
an Apple
Yeah.
trailers or something, right?
But not the way
Yeah,
you.
Possibly, but I mean, specifically
And
it
I
said it
saw it
predated
in the-
YouTube, which it does. They were not marketing either of those movies.
Well,
on,
Castaway 2000.
for example, the Avengers trailer that he's talking about has 23 million views on YouTube. So
Yeah.
I would say that argument does hold some weight as far
I
as
saw it in theaters,
not
Children of
being
Men
as-
trailer.
Okay, this is a tough one. It's a tough. You all three of you made fantastic arguments, but I think two things factored my ultimate ruling. One, I liked the burn on the Avengers. Of course, it can't ruin the movie. You know the Avengers are going to win.
Yeah.
And I also think you made a point. I think yours ruined the ending the most, whereas yours gave a pocket of, he's going to get on a boat. It doesn't ruin the ending. By
It
knowing he
ruins the
gets
whole
off
movie.
the island, you're like, well, he's going to get off. And it was probably a marketing ploy to tell the audience, don't worry, he's not going to do it.
Exactly.
And it does, the adventure, I feel like the journey would have been more emotional if you weren't sure where he's going to go, which you said. Mantz gets the point. Boom! You're on the board. All right, we got to keep moving. That was a longer one than it should have been. Round 3. All right, this week's Scarface remake was announced, and there's a new Flash Gordon was also announced, so a lot of remakes happening. The Flash Gordon was announced as a sequel to a 1980s Flash Gordon. That's right. So anyway, the question being, for round 3, what movie do we never want to see a sequel or remake of? So put out the best pitch of the movie that should never be remade or make a sequel that doesn't have one already, I believe. Scott, we're starting with you.
Okay, I'm going to go with E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
No Botanicus?
No, listen. E.T.
Oh, Mike Carlson's going to hate this, but keep going.
E.T. is a perfect movie, released on June 9th, 1982. The best month ever for science fiction. Here's what came out in June of 1982. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, E.T., The Thing, and Blade Runner. All in one
Wow.
month,
Good
June
year.
of 1982. I'm digressing here. E.T. is a masterpiece. It is a fairy tale. It is the perfect movie. It ended the way it should have ended. It had suspense. It was a little scary. It was just a delightful, wonderful, moving, beautiful film. Every time I see that movie, I cry. Where does it go? E.T. goes home. Why does he need to come back? There's no reason for it. There's nowhere left to go. There's no. Okay.
Oh, there's somewhere to go. There was a sequel in the books, and
There was a
I'm sure
sequel
it'll
in
all
the
come
books?
up. Well, let's hear
Okay.
each person. Alicia, what's your movie?
Please, Hollywood, never remake Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yes.
The 1979 Vietnam War masterpiece by Francis Ford Coppola. Now, this is a movie that should not have ever been as good as it ended up being because it had so many problems. Production hell, delays, Martin Sheen suffering a heart attack, Marlon Brando showing up overweight and underprepared at one point. Coppola had to feed him lines through his earpiece. Typhoons destroyed the sets, the budget went overboard, the scheduling went out of control. But somehow they crafted this magnificent war film. This film, and I would say the opening scene in Saving Private Ryan, are the moments in the war films that make me feel like this is possibly what it might be to be in war, what it might feel like to be involved in war. It's surreal, it's maddening, it's the horror. It really gets you into that mindset, the madness of it, and I just don't think it can ever be remade because it's such a piece of movie magic that somehow came together.
It's the horror in all three of these, I imagine. What's yours, Kristian?
You can't touch Casablanca. You You can't touch it because and they've talked about it. Remember when Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez were going to do it?
That was a rumor.
And
That was such a rumor.
They were working on it. They were working on it. And hey, you had your point. No one said anything, E.T. So the fact is, when that was going down, people cried to the heavens. You cannot, and not just because of Ben Affleck and J-Lo, because that movie for the time, right, for the World War II era and everything that was going on there in Casablanca, and the movie star, the quintessential movie star in Humphrey Bogart. And I know because of movie fights you have to argue this, but you agree with me 100% being a Casablanca fan, because when you have those, think about some of those lines.
I think we agree in all three of these.
Yeah.
Play it.
We don't want any of these
Well,
movies.
I could see not a remake
That's
as
a good
much
question.
as a sequel.
So could either of you pitch a decent sequel to the other person's movie or remake?
The reason why I could see a sequel more so to E.T. is because Spielberg is still very much around. Can if he has a pitch for it, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. If Steven Spielberg said, "I've got a great idea for a second E.T.," who's going to go no? If somebody else, if like Christopher Columbus said, "I'm doing E.T. too," I'd be like, no thanks. But if Steven Spielberg came out and said he was going to do it, it's the guy who brought it to
Will
life
it have
in the
Shia
first
LaBeouf swinging with monkeys?
No, he made Shia LaBeouf burned that bridge, so we're not getting Shia LaBeouf
You're
anymore.
making a bad argument by saying that Spielberg could get a sequel and it would be good.
I didn't say good be good. I said I would
World was
listen.
not good.
I said I would listen.
Temple of Doom, I actually liked, but Crystal Skull was awful.
But that was Lucas more than
No,
Spielberg.
Spielberg directed that
Well,
movie.
but Spielberg also wanted Frank Darabont's script, and Lucas said no. So if I'm telling you that I would listen to what Spielberg said, the question on the table was, would you be into either one of these sequels? And I said, if Spielberg said I had a sequel for E.T., I would be interested. I'm not saying it would be great. I'd say I'd be interested. Now, Apocalypse Now is another movie that is very close to being untouchable, but it's another thing that, as far as if a filmmaker was going to approach it, someone like, let's say, David Fincher down the line, not in the same way that
Sensibilities are completely different.
It's true, but if someone else was going to approach that movie to reflect on what the Vietnam era was like, I think Vietnam, to me right now, straight off of what the time period was for Casablanca, more so I'd rather see an E.T. sequel.
Yeah.
Okay, two things here. First of all, Apocalypse Now it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It is an absolute masterpiece.
you love it.
It is such a great. I just saw it last week at the Cinerama
So
Dome.
why would you rather see a sequel to that than E.T.?
Because, and here's why. Apocalypse Now, the source material, it's not an original screenplay. It's based on Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. So if you took the source material and updated it to maybe the Iraq War or Afghanistan, it is possible to do a very loose.
It would be very
remake.
loose. It wouldn't
It
be
would be
the
very
same
loose.
thing.
It would be loose.
Technically,
But technically you could do it.
You can do
I
a
haven't heard
remake,
any
that's the question.
Casablanca
But
yet.
just to give you an idea as to
They
where,
haven't hit you yet, but yes.
but to give you an idea as to where a sequel for E.T. was going to go, there was a story they were batting around in the early 80s, which had evil aliens coming to Earth, and that E.T.'s world would come to save the humans, especially Elliot and his family. And you find out in this story that E.T.'s real name is Zrek. Z-R-E-K.
That was
which
never
sounds
proven.
like Drek to me.
He's making that
which
up.
is exactly why they
Dan
should
is
not do a
checking.
remake.
Check that out. I
And
think he's making it up.
They tried to do no.
All I know is
Z-R-E-K.
hashtag Botanica.
Put in
Hashtag
E.T.
Shrek.
Wait, put in E.T. and put in Zrek. Something will come up. I guarantee
Well,
you.
but Mike
Now,
Carlson was here
hang
fighting.
on.
Hold on, but I'm helping. Hold on.
Okay, yes,
Because
please.
Mike Carlson was here promoting the sequel he wants to, the spinoff he wants to see, and E.T. the Ride took a lot of those elements to where it would have been, where it would have gone to, E.T.'s homeland and all this stuff that you're.
They
you're
tried
talking
to adapt the story. They tried to update the story, and they failed.
But that was the
miserably.
80s,
Wait,
though,
wait.
too. We don't know what happened in
Remember-
2014.
remember
There were a lot
last
of
summer-
different writers and
Hang on,
different
hang
takes.
on there, Harloff, Mr. Luke Skywalker, mother effer. Here's what you need to know.
Interesting.
They're trying to remake Live Long and Prosper, buddy.
Gross.
They tried to do a sort of loose remake of E.T. called Earth to Echo, and that movie sucked. It was awful. It was terrible. It was such
I
an
didn't mind
obvious.
it.
Oh,
It-
it was just
It-
such
it
an
has,
obvious.
It
This
has
doesn't-
the
but this
same
doesn't-
kind of feel.
Dave Green,
think,
I thought it was great. He's my buddy.
Earth to Echo?
He's my buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I thought
I
No, take
I
your
like
personal
it.
feelings
I like
out
Earth
of the
to Echo.
equation.
But,
Earth to Echo.
Yes.
Watch E.T.
It's not about Earth to Echo. E.T. too.
Don't bother.
I feel it's
well, let's-
nostalgic,
but-
but can I?
let's
can
let
I
Alicia
just
get a
say-
point in.
yes.
Casablanca, Casablanca?
I'm not the loudest
Let's
person
hear-
in the room, so I need a second.
Yes, take your time.
But I would say that out of these two, I would prefer. I would hate to see a remake or a sequel. But if I had to choose, then I would like to see a sequel to E.T. I'd like to see E.T. come back.
I don't wanna see
come
E.T.
back
come
with
back.
an older Elliot.
E.T. comes home.
No.
E.T. comes home. Older Elliot, get the band back together. See Drew Barrymore now. Like, I would love to. There would just be a nice moment for a film lover to see them all come together. I don't want it, but if I had to choose. But Casablanca is impossible to remake.
Thank you.
But in the way that I don't know how I'm gonna argue against Casablanca actually, because it's one of my favorite films of all time. But so I'm not helping anything here. But it's so of its time
You put
that
Chris
it's
Pratt
kind
in there with
you won't
Jennifer
need it.
Lawrence,
Ooh,
right?
ooh, you're making my argument.
See, that's
for
the
me.
problem. I mean,
It's so of its time, but I
They
think
can't
that
argue it, Andy.
people don't
See?
care.
Well, and can anyone argue against Casablanca?
Sadly,
'Cause
I think people don't care enough about Casablanca for
That's-
it to be
that's not true.
remade.
It's like saying
the
I don't
general
want to see.
public.
It's like me saying I don't want to see a remake of Citizen Kane. Well, of course you're not going to remake.
that was the
Citizen
question
Kane.
on the table.
Well,
And
we
of
need-
course
that was
you're
the
not going to
question.
remake.
We
But
should
of
have
course
taken
you're not
that.
even going to remake Casablanca. Like
I think
There's been talk about Strangers on a Train they're remaking.
Well,
so they're going to start
making it
going
on a
down
plane.
that path.
But see, they're
Strangers on a
updating.
Plane.
They're making
Dan,
it
do we
on a
know if
plane.
a Casablanca sequel has been in the works? Is the other question.
Well,
You have-
there's
Casablanca
always
2,
rumors.
back in
There's,
action.
Always
there's
rumors.
a sequel called Everybody Goes
yeah.
to Rick's that's
Everyone
been
Goes to
around.
Rick's.
It's never been serious. It's just been a rumor
But
here
they
or
have
there.
talked
Did you
about
find my thing about Zrek, about E.T.?
Scott is talking about a 9-page treatment that was written by Steven Spielberg and Melissa Matheson. It's called E.T. Nocturnal Fears. It was a dark, dark movie. The aliens were tortured, and yes, E.T.'s real name was revealed as Zrek. And Scott, I have to say, as a fact checker, I am in awe of your name and date recall. But you said that E.T.'s release date was June 9th. I've got it as June 11th, 1980.
Oh, it's off by 2 days.
2 days.
I was off by
But
2 days.
otherwise, kudos to you. That's
That's
very
still
impressive.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's
What do
still
you
good,
got,
but
Andy?
I would
So-
like to see the continuing adventures of Rick.
Nah.
I think he could do more. I just don't want to see him and Ilsa back.
But who's going to do
back
it?
again?
Yeah. It's
You got George Clooney is
He would be a
models
great
himself.
Rick.
Yeah, I'm pretty-
He would
I
be
know,
a great
but
Rick
he's-
if they were going to do.
mysterious, cool.
If they
Well,
were
here's
gonna
where I'm
do an
struggling. This is a tough one because it's
really tough.
It's got to be about the argument, but I think you made a good knock at hers because you said there's source material there where you could probably pull out other things and update it. So that's where I'm struggling with good knock on that. But then I think you both had a good knock on ET where I think everyone, even though it's like you don't really want to see them. If Spielberg did it,
Possibly
we
could.
kind of be open. It's probably gonna be terrible, but you're hopeful, right? So I think you guys
Probably
got a
gonna be
good knock on
terrible.
that. No one's done a good knock on Casablanca yet. So I'm last chance. If someone can take them down, then I'll reevaluate.
One
I would
last
just-
chance. to
Okay,
take
I
down
would just say
Casablanca.
that Rick is such a compelling character. He's one of the greatest American characters of all time, and I would love to see more of him on screen.
Well, just like Apocalypse Now could be updated to the Iraq War, to Afghanistan, I feel like Casablanca could also be updated to a more modern war. This was World War II, and the movie came out in, what, 42?
Yeah.
I mean, that was very
think.
much of its day. Right? 42, Casablanca? Yes! 42!
42.
Yes! But it's just like, him picking Casablanca to not be remade. It's such an easy movie to say you can't remake it. I mean, how do you remake Citizen Kane, which came out the year before? So, going with a classic movie, a defined classic movie like that from...
Well, you
from-
each picked classic movies.
Of course they did.
but Apocalypse Now, 1979, E.T., 1982. These are movies that more viewers of Screen Junkies have actually seen.
Yeah.
The question on the
and
table.
make our arguments more relevant.
The question on
Yes.
the table, Andy, was what remake or sequel should never be remade. So this question could be asked in 20, 30 years when we have the same time difference.
But it's being asked now.
But what? No, he said the question on the table is ever. So in 20, 30 years, if they wanted to do that, it would be the same time. And they are going through all the 80s right now, remaking everything. They're going to hit all of the World War II era ones, and you cannot replace. You can have some great actors play the role of Rick, but you're not going to get Humphrey Bogart. You're not going to. Then they're going to try to do. Here's looking at you, kid, and they're going to try
When
to
was the
play it
last time
again.
you watched Casablanca?
About a year ago.
I don't
2
know.
weeks ago.
Play it again, Sam. I watch it with my wife every year.
Okay.
Actually, so
All
play
Here's
it
where
again, Sam.
here's where I'm stuck because I don't agree.
I didn't get to finish my argument.
Here- well,
I get it.
No, it's, I understand. No, it's. we're
Here's
fine.
where I'm stuck. I don't. I got to go off the arguments, right?
Yes,
I got
go
to
off
base
the
it off the
arguments,
arguments. And even though I don't think this person picked the best movie, I think he made the best arguments taking the other two out. So I'm gonna give it to Scott.
Hey, Scott!
That's all I can do. That's all I can base it on that one.
E.T. is
Because I
pure.
think he took you two out in a better way. Because your movie is the oldest, and I think audiences won't care. And I think the source material jab was a great one.
You know that they would care.
Love that
You know that
movie.
they would care. She's.
I would care. We
she's
all. I
dying
don't. No,
inside.
no. To
They
be
both
honest,
said I can't
we don't
argue
want to see
against this.
any of these.
Exactly.
I was picking the
please
worst
don't.
of the worst.
No one is going to argue with you there.
Dan.
Just very quickly, Kristian, you actually perpetuated a cultural misnomer, which is that Play it again, Sam is never said in
Yeah.
Casablanca.
Play it
That's
again.
right. That was
There you
something-
go.
it's-
Play it,
Sam.
I
Sam.
feel better about my
Sam.
decision.
And
Round
Play it,
4.
Yeah, and if
Hey,
you are a Screen Junkie viewer, you
always
should
have
watch
Paris.
Casablanca.
You should watch all 3 of these
Yes.
movies.
Yes.
And of course, Casablanca.
And of
I
course,
love it.
E.T., I'll be right here. June
Round
11th,
4, all right.
1982, brother.
Fun question here. I want you guys for round 4 to name an actor that could take over an existing franchise, and I want you to name the actor and the franchise.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. We're starting with you, Alicia.
Okay, an actor that I keep talking about as someone to watch, someone who I think is on the brink of being a big star because he has all the elements needed, is Jack O'Connell. Jack O'Connell really impressed me when I saw him in Starred Up, and he played this brutal prisoner, showed that he has the physicality. Then I saw him in 71, and he showed his hero side of things and the fact that you really felt empathy for his character, this British soldier trying to survive the night on the mean streets of Belfast. And then I saw him in Unbroken, and that film wasn't so good, but he did the best he could. And again, you really had empathy for his character, and he showed how he could stand up and be a hero. So that's why I think he has all the traits needed if they had to do it to take over the Jason Bourne franchise and be Jason Bourne, because Jason Bourne to me is a really compelling character. You feel empathy for him because he's lost his memory, he doesn't remember who he is. You also know that he's done something bad, he has that darkness underneath, and he can fight. He's got kick-ass physicality. So all those traits are the reason why I think Jack O'Connell would be perfect if someone had to take over Jason Bourne from Matt Damon.
Kristian, what's yours?
I'm actually going to go with The Rock in a franchise I would like to see continue, and that's Commando, 1985's Arnold's Commando, because now a lot of people may not realize that Commando was actually it was
85, right?
Yeah, it was 1985, and the sequel to Commando was actually Die Hard. The sequel to Commando. They were going to continue the Commando franchise, and it became Die Hard. That's because Arnold didn't want to do it. Now, what The Rock has done so well is The Rock's kind of changed his entire path of career. Because when he first came, it was Scorpion King. He did all. That was fine. It was a silly movie, and then he got locked into that Disney contract. But he got himself out, and he became the action star we all thought he was going to be. And he's doing fun action movies like the Fast franchise, and even he's done that movie Fast and all those other movies that Faster, and he's done these movies and he's hardcore, but I want to see him get into the hardcore mixed with fun, and that's the rated R kind of Stallone Rambo action movie, Schwarzenegger Commando. To see him really kick the ass, we want to see The Rock kick ass, because The Rock's got that charisma that Arnold had, and we haven't really had that big action star, and The Rock has been the guy that they said, come on, dude, do it. And he has saved franchises. He's saved G.I. Joe. He saved the Fast franchise. He's just a dude that can pull it off. And when he takes out a squadron with one grenade, you believe it. And he can hit that one-liner that Arnold hit, and you believe it. I just want to see him step it up just a little bit more in the hardcore rated R and have some fun with it.
Scott.
Are you ready for this, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen?
I'm excited.
Benedict Cumberbatch as James Bond.
What?
This could happen, and my spider sense is tingling, ladies and gentlemen. I think it will happen. Daniel Craig, he's about to do his 4th movie, filming it now. Spectre, maybe
Dan,
one
this
more
is
film.
So not into that.
Maybe one more film. Uh-oh. Hang on. I will sell you on this, brother. June 11th, 1982.
Sell
E.T.
me.
the Extraterrestrial.
Sell me.
Okay, here's the sell. Benedict Cumberbatch, he is an outstanding actor. He is an Oscar nominee for The Imitation Game. Did you see him in that tux at the Oscars? That was his audition, ladies and gentlemen. He's got the deep voice.
He had the
that
wisecracking sort of smartassy stuff too at the Oscars,
Yes,
didn't
he freaking did, brother. Yes, he did. So he could bring a little bit of the Roger Moore humor to the Sean Connery gravity and the depth and the darkness. He's got the deep voice. He's suave. He's charming. He is great looking, and in Star Trek Into Darkness, he proved that he can handle a big action film and he can fight like the best of them. And I see it now, Cumberbond.
You just lost the
Come on,
argument.
brother.
Guys, yeah. Well, what do you guys think of each
look,
other?
Cumberbatch is amazing. He's one of my favorite guys out there right now. But the problem is, you know him as Sherlock Holmes. You're gonna know him as Doctor Strange. You're gonna know him as Khan, and he's just got so many franchises already. And
So
he's one
does The Rock.
So does The Rock.
But there's
Thank you.
But the difference is, great. Thank you for making that point, because the difference is, Commando's not a franchise that a lot of people recognize, and it's an Arnold. You're taking over from Arnold in this hardcore action film. It's not Bond. I want to see Idris Elba as Bond. I want to see him go a little different, and I like this smooth but a different version of Bond. for me, Cumberbatch is just the guy you hear. It's like Chris Pratt. Everything that's rumored is either Cumberbatch or Pratt. I love him. But now, as far as Jack O'Connell goes, I like Jack O'Connell as well. I want to see him do a franchise, but I don't want to see him do Bourne. Matt Damon's Bourne. The whole reason the last Bourne didn't work as well with Jeremy Renner is because they wanted Matt Damon back as Jason Bourne.
They wanted the Jason Bourne character.
No, they wanted Matt Damon back, and they went after. There's a reason they're making the next one is because Paul Greengrass and Matt Damon are coming back to do the Bourne movie because that's who you recognize. You don't need another Jason Bourne. If you're going to have him in the Bourne franchise, try to do something else that maybe Jeremy Renner did because Jack O'Connell has that kind of personality to maybe take that Bourne franchise from a different character and different point of view, but not as Jason Bourne. We know who Jason Bourne is.
But we're not pitching the franchise that we want to see back on screen. We're pitching an actor that would be perfect for the franchise. Jack O'Connell is poised
Right, but how do you do
to
the
become a
Bourne
big star.
franchise without Bourne?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
No,
I think he is good
so
for the
I-
franchise.
I say that
I
he
mean-
will play
Explain
Jason
that.
Bourne.
Wait.
Yeah. I'm
I
agreeing
mean,
with you.
I'm saying that we're not pitching, I'm not pitching, I want to see a new Jason Bourne. We're pitching who would be a great actor to take over a franchise. So I'm saying
he
if
playing
they
Jason
had to,
Bourne?
yes.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. If they had to do a Jason Bourne,
Got it.
I would love to see Jack O'Connell. I just think he is. So what I started with, my argument was I looked at the actors that I love and ones that deserve a chance and someone who's
He's great.
fresh.
He is great.
Someone who's fresh and people don't know a lot about him. He hasn't been in everything like Benedict Cumberbatch. He hasn't been in everything like The Rock. He's someone we don't know a lot about. So then I started thinking, what franchise would he be perfect for? And that's why I went to Jason Bourne. And I would love to see him in a big action role. The Rock, I just feel like I like him, but he is in everything,
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
you're-
starting to get a bit of
Fatigue, and
also,
but I get that, but you're talking about-
Commando, I just don't care.
Yeah, but you're talking about. I don't care if someone else playing Jason
don't-
Bourne. Like I want to see Matt Damon to me as Jason Bourne. Like, and if you're gonna move, I agree with you. Jack O'Connell should be known. He should be in movies, but not Jason Bourne. Give the guy something else to take over if he's going to do it, and put him in a different type of action franchise. Or like I said, in the Bourne, let him try to do what Jeremy Renner did because I think he has a charisma and he can kick ass. But he's not Jason Bourne. Matt Damon is Jason Bourne.
I am so sick of seeing The Rock come into another franchise that I would much rather
Box
see
office
Jack
isn't.
O'Connell.
Box office isn't.
I would much rather see Jack O'Connell reinvent Jason Bourne than I would want to see The Rock in anything playing another variation of The Rock character. Benedict Cumberbatch, for years before he was rumored to play Doctor Strange, before he was Sherlock, but I saw a movie called Starter for 10, which came out in February of 2007. That's when it came out
Trying to
in
get your
the
job,
United
Dan.
States. Okay, just look it up and make sure
It's
you
a
look at
cyborg.
IMDb. Wait, when you look up on IMDb, when it says release
Stay
dates,
on the tack.
USA. Okay, Starter for 10 came out
donkey.
in February of 2007. I said, oh my God, this guy is great. He was also in Atonement, small role. I said, he's got the look, he's got the sound, he's thin, he's good looking, he's charming, he can be a smartass, he's got the humor, and again, he's got the action chops, and he's 38 years old.
I think I love Benedict Cumberbatch when he plays these outsider characters.
Every role he does.
tortured geniuses. He's really good
Every
at
role.
that, and that's not Jason. It's not
James
Bond.
Bond
James
is
Bond.
a
I
tortured
don't.
I don't need
character.
eccentric
James
Bond.
Bond is a
don't
torture character. Did
see
you
him
not
as
see?
that.
Did you not see Skyfall? He's got this whole backstory as to why he is
But
a
not
tortured
every
soul.
Bond. Not all the time. They switch it up sometimes too. Depends on the version of Bond for sure. But for me, Cumberbatch, like I said, great actor, but is pretty much always playing the eccentric kind of guy and aloof and distant. But you got to have a bit of that suaveness to him.
He's got that.
I don't know. I haven't seen that
absolutely
yet.
has
I haven't
that.
seen it. I know that women find him sexy, but in that kind of mysterious, different way than you do for Bond. So I don't know. I like Cumberbatch, and I don't want to see Doctor Strange as Bond. I don't want to see.
You haven't even seen Doctor Strange yet.
But he's going to be Doctor Strange for at least 3, 4, 5 movies, and then I got to see him as Bond. No,
But that's not the argument. The argument here is who would you want to see reinvent and take over a franchise?
yeah, that's why that is the argument. Because if I see him doing
just-
Strange, I don't want to see him doing Bond. I don't want to see that.
But I
again.
haven't seen him do Strange yet. I'm not
you're
sick.
going to
I'm
for
not-
4 movies.
But I'm not sick
But
of
you
Benedict
will-
Cumberbatch
but
yet.
you
It
will
hasn't
see him for 4
happened
movies.
yet. It hasn't happened
But it's going
yet.
to. It's signed in. It's
all right,
signed.
it's gonna happen, yes.
Yeah, that's
before
the
that
thing.
happens.
So we can't take what's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen, but
It's
how
gonna happen.
we might like it, we might not.
I think we'll be lucky if we get a 5th James Bond movie out of Daniel Craig. I thought Skyfall was the best Bond movie since Goldfinger.
Well, here's my
Really
question: Who do you? Is there a better Bond?
Idris Elba.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see Idris Elba.
He'd be good.
He's so suave.
Do
He's
you,
so charming.
You,
he
you
hasn't
still
been
like
used
Benedict
in
Cumberbatch
everything.
over Idris Elba?
I thought about Idris Elba, but I just kept going back to Benedict Cumberbatch because of seeing him in a tux at the Oscars. I'm like, if I was If I was Barbara Broccoli, I'd be like, dude, come over here. You got the job.
I think
what
it's-
job?
I think. All
You're
right, I'm going to
Bond.
make a call. I think the role is more than just can he pull off a tux. So we shouldn't. That's not enough.
Well,
of a
but
reason.
again, I'm going
But
back. Yeah.
I think the ultimate decision here I'm making is based on the arguments again of what, and I think someone took the other two out with their arguments, and I think that was Kristian. And I think that sounds fun. It's a fun movie, and it's not as beloved as the other two, so it's a way to reinvent a new franchise. And I think The Rock could use a new standalone thing of himself. So Kristian gets a point. Nick Mundy, you're welcome.
I lied.
Let off some steam.
Give up some steam, Bennett.
All right, round 5. Speaking of actors, which actor would you like to see come out of retirement for a small role or cameo? A lot of actors that we love and we love over the years, and some of them aren't showing up. I don't want to rattle them off because you guys might pick them yourself, but we're starting with you, Kristian. Who do you want to see make a comeback?
I'm sure these guys are going to pick some great ones that I want to hear, but I don't think that anybody is long overdue for a comeback than Gene Hackman. You need Gene Hackman back. He hasn't been around for so long. The Royal Tenenbaums was one of the last times I really remember seeing him, and he just robbed to not get nominated for that role. He's a presence. You remember him in Unforgiven. Even when he was in a campier version of Lex Luthor in The Stupid Quest for Peace, which was one of the worst movies of all time. Who do you remember in that movie? Gene Hackman, because it's like, thank
Nuclear
God,
Man.
breathing some life into that stupid movie. But Gene Hackman's just a guy. He's one of the best actors of all time. I don't think anybody on this table can argue that. And if he popped up on screen in a movie that you didn't know he was coming and he popped out in a cameo, you'd all lose your minds. Because Gene Hackman he's just one of those classic actors that you don't get as much, an American classic actor that we don't see. All the roles now, the newer actors, Benedict Cumberbatch, guys like Tom Hardy, Fassbender. But guys like that, Fassbender, Tom Hardy, they're all these English classic trained actors. To have that classic American actor back in Gene Hackman, he's royalty. He's an American royalty, and I'd like that back.
I think the most recent work is those Lowe's commercials.
Oh yes, Lowe's. So
voiceover.
Yeah, Gene Hackman's one of the best.
Cashing in. Scott, who do you pick?
This last movie I'm going to say was Welcome to Mooseport, 2004, February 2004, with Ray Romano, right?
I'm just gonna go take a coffee break and let Scott do my job.
Is that the last
he's
one?
absolutely right. I just wrote that down.
He is amazing.
Oh my God.
Pretty good.
Movie
Who's your
dates.
pick?
That's going to be your next show. Screen Junkies, movie dates. The winner's right here. My actor, okay? I like Gene Hackman. You're right. I would love to see him, but he is retired. The last good movie he made was 2003's The Runaway Jury with John Cusack. Came out October of 2003.
12 years ago, yeah.
Okay? Now, my
Wait,
actor.
this is supposed to work the other way.
My actor.
Who's your pick?
My pick. Are you ready? Are you ready for this, Alicia Malone?
Yes.
Are you ready for this, Andy? Are you ready for this? There,
Give it to
freaking
me.
Luke Skywalker, lover here. Captain Kirk
I know
is
where you're
calling
going. I know where
the
you're going.
actor who needs to make the biggest comeback.
No.
Is Warren Beatty.
Oh,
Warren Beatty has not had a movie since 2001's Town and Country. That movie was a critical and commercial bomb. It was a disaster. There were a lot of problems that went into making that movie, which is probably why he hasn't made a movie since. The last good movie he made
Bugsy?
was Bulworth. To 1998, he directed it as well as starred in it. That movie is almost, it's 17 years old. It's almost 20 years old. Now, there was a chance back 10 years ago where there were rumors, and it got pretty far, so it's not just a rumor, that Warren Beatty was going to play Bill in Kill Bill's Volume 1 and 2, and it didn't happen. How great would that have been? No offense to David Carradine, but just the thought of seeing Warren Beatty as Bill. Okay, it's 2015. He turns 80 years old on March 30th. Double check that, brother. He turns 80 years old on March 30th. To see Warren Beatty in a role. Here's where I would love to see Warren Beatty. DC does a version of The Dark Knight where Bruce Wayne is in his golden years, and Warren Beatty is Bruce Wayne. Now there's a comeback role.
It wouldn't be a cameo, though.
That would be a role. Warren Beatty is Bruce Wayne, Batman. Come on. I mean, I know
By the
for
time Ben
doing
Affleck's
the
done with the
action,
role, he'll be
but
dead.
that would be closer to the spirit of Frank Miller's comic than anything we've seen so far. Warren Beatty would be a great.
All right, before
elder
we,
Bruce
I
Wayne.
know, I just want to get Alicia. What's your pick?
I can't believe you guys aren't saying the biggest one, Sean Connery. We want to see Sean Connery come out of retirement and do a small role or a cameo. Now, he said he's retired. He's done a bit of voice work, I believe, but his last film he did was...
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Which was in...
2003.
Exactly, thank you. And what a shame to go out on that note as his last major acting role. Now, Michael Caine is good friends with Sean Connery, and he's said that he called him up, and Michael Caine says the movie business is what retired Sean Connery, because all he was being offered were old man roles, and he didn't want that. But how amazing would it be to see him have a cameo in
a James Bond movie?
Yes, or even in Indiana Jones and whatever they do with it. Apparently, it got quite far into thinking in Skyfall that the character played by Albert Finney, Kincaid, might be Sean Connery, but then I think Sam Mendes decided that would take people out of the movie. And I agree, if he's in a Bond movie, you don't want to see him play a different character. You just want to see him. Wouldn't it be great if he was at the bar just drinking a martini and has a line?
Not stirred.
That would be such a thrill. I miss seeing him on screen. I really, really do. And I understand he wants to be retired from acting. Just please don't let it go out on the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That's the problem. That's the problem with all three of these roles. I mean, Gene Hackman went out with Welcome to Mooseport. Warren Beatty with Town and Country. Sean Connery, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
They're better than that.
They deserve all three of these actors. I mean, I know I'm going to be a nice guy right now because I am a nice guy, and that's my biggest problem. Nice guys finish last, but you can help me finish first right here, Phyllis. So here's the thing. All three of these actors, no matter what they do, any one of these actors does a role in a drama, even maybe if it's a small role, they would get nominated sight unseen because people will be so happy to have them back.
Or if it was a cameo, it would be just so much fun to see Sean Connery. You know, and he wouldn't need much time.
Look, cameos are fun for sure, but the thing with Sean Connery, he's sick. You didn't want to be offered old man roles. The unfortunate part is he's an old man. Yeah. Now the thing with Gene Hackman embraces it, will embrace it. He's just such a powerful force. Now I love Sean Connery. I do.
The question here is which one do we want to see come out of retirement?
Yeah.
But not what are they going to do it?
That's what I
What's
mean.
the dream role here? So I just need you each to sell me. She did a very good job there. So just quickly sell me what's your comeback that's going to be better than that so far. Is what we're
the comeback role, and even though he did it years ago, I like to see Gene. And we don't need to. This everyone comes back and wants to do like a superhero movie with Batman or the Bond thing. I'd like to just see him come back in a dramatic role, Gene Hackman. He played a coach once before in Hoosiers. Maybe 20, 30 years later, he plays a different version of a coach. You're talking about a guy who can hit an inspirational speech, a guy that can really motivate you as an audience member watching every word that comes out of his mouth because of the way he pronounces it. It's
great actor. Do you guys think? I mean, is Hackman missed more than Connery or Beatty? Is what I guess I want to.
He's definitely missed more than Beatty.
I still think of him as being around. Like I watch Royal Tenenbaums all the time, and I forget that he's not on screen.
That's how good he is. But that's how good he is.
Sean Connery, I really miss. He has left a huge chunk behind him.
See, I miss Warren Beatty. If you look back at the 60s and the 70s, he was Bruce Wayne. He was a playboy. He was the most desirable man in the country, not just in Hollywood, in the world. And he's been away. He made an honest woman out of Annette Bening, or she made an honest woman out of him. Is more like it because he was a playboy.
But your pitch is still the Bruce Wayne.
You know, I think the thing is though.
Hang on there.
Okay, quick. I know, but just get it out quick.
I'm sorry. Okay, real quick. Warren Beatty as Bruce Wayne. It's perfect.
Got it.
It's
perfect.
Heard it.
But I listen. I just think that these, and I love all these guys. The thing is, we're pitching movie stars here, and I want to pitch the actor. I want to pitch the.
But they're all great actors.
They are great actors. They're all great actors. But I'm saying the pitch here is, he's with Annette Bening and movies. They're talking about movie stars and Hollywood and famous stuff. I'm talking about the actor.
I'm not listening to semantics. I'm focusing on the main. One
But
last
that's
thing,
the
and I want
argument,
Dan to get his cleanup. Any last thoughts?
Just how amazing would it be to sit in a theater in a Bond film and not know, and then suddenly see Sean Connery? That would make my heart sing.
Dan, final cleanup here?
Well, I think this is...
I mean, I don't care about the date semantics.
This is hugely relevant to the argument,
Yes,
which is that
please.
Warren Beatty just finished a movie. He wrote and directed it. He's going to be in it. He's playing Howard Hughes.
No, that means you're
Howard Hughes.
And it's coming out this year.
Yeah,
so
that
the
does affect.
other two have
not
no
retired.
projects in development.
retired.
Warren Beatty has
And-
something that he
And
just
correct
finished.
me if I'm wrong, but I don't
And I
think
think- I kept saying
Gene
Beatty, it's Beatty.
Hackman. I don't think Gene Hackman has said he is retired.
Plus, we hear him on the
Like
Lowe's
Sean
ads
Connery,
all the time,
he has
right?
said
We hear him on the
that.
Lowe's ad. Alicia wins!
Yay, Alicia Malone!
Had to win.
Come on, you want to see Connery.
I do want to see Connery. Warren Beatty, I can watch him on
But
CNN.
see, the fact that Sean Connery...
Round 6.
Wait, hang on.
Hold on. Round 6.
Cooking Donkey,
Let's
Cooking
move through. Since Disney owns the... I want to leave some time for this. This is a fun one. This is our crazy big one. So everyone's got to take this seriously. Since Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars, S-Will1092 asked, if there was ever a battle between a Star Wars character and a Marvel character, which two would create the best fight? This is movie fights. This is a dream battle. Who from Star Wars do you take? Who from Marvel? And then who do we see versus? We're starting with you, Scott.
Okay, if you're going to pit, okay, first of all, you're asking a Star Trek guy a Star Wars question. I love them both, but I do love Star Trek more, but I do love Star Wars. So if you're going to make the odds even in Marvel versus Lucasfilm, in Disney, since Disney owns them both, I'd say you got to take Iron Man, okay? Who in the Star Wars universe wears iron or something like it, an exoskeleton? Darth Vader. So you put Iron Man versus Darth Vader, and as long as you make sure that Darth Vader cannot use the Force, because if you do, all bets are off. All bets are off. All bets are off if you
Just lost
if
the
you
argument
use
there.
the
What's
Force.
Alicia got?
Yeah, I mean, you do it. Why do you take away the 4? Anyway, Alicia, go ahead.
Okay, well, you both know that I am not the biggest Marvel fan. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I don't know as much about these two franchises as you guys, definitely.
Oh,
so.
come on. Don't lose it right off the bat. Come on.
This is why I'm saying. So when I watch these movies, I'm not so into the action scenes like I'm sure you guys are. So the battle for me that I would love to see, what I love about both these films are the characters, and what I love about the characters are the dialogue and particularly the humor, the brevity. So what I'm going for is not a fighting battle. I'm going for a battle of wits, and I would love to see Han Solo with Tony Stark.
Oh, I thought you were going to Star Lord.
Because both of them I didn't think of that one. Both of them have very sarcastic wit. Both of them I'd like to be with both of these guys. They're so charming, and both of them have, because they're so great because of the actors playing them. They bring out the best parts of Harrison Ford and the best parts of Robert Downey Jr. And I don't know who would win if it was just a dialogue matchup between them, but I would love to see that more than seeing someone fight, because I know we could get into semantics of the Force versus the superpowers, and that's not interesting to me. Like I've said before, when I watch superhero films, I'm not that worried during the action scenes because I know what's going to come next. I know the movies that are coming next, so I know that the characters are going to survive. But that's just me personally. I know people out there get excited about the action. What I love is seeing the characters up against each other, and I would love to see these two in the same movie.
Well, then Andy can book them on movie fights because I want to see those guys fight.
Yeah, I do too.
But
That'd be
That's the
cool.
question.
yeah,
Who will create the
they
best fight?
So for me,
Fight.
I want to see,
Debate.
and because we're doing fantasy world here, so let's go super fantasy. Let's make this a rated R movie with Marvel versus Star Wars, and let's get Tarantino directed and have Mace Windu versus Nick Fury. How about that? You have Mace Windu versus Nick Fury in a fight.
Sam
Look
Jackson
at those.
versus
Sam
Sam
Jackson versus Sam Jackson in a rated R fight, because you talk about a survivor, you talk about Nick Fury. Nick Fury finds a way to fight, and Mace Windu was known to be the second most powerful Jedi next to Yoda, and he is going to use the Force. The whole point is that he's a Jedi. He's going to use the Force, but how is Mace Windu going to survive it? Is he going to cheat? Is he going to use? Because he's not an honest guy. We've seen him in the Avengers. He's pulled some strings. Don't listen to the argument.
Well,
Besides
I
the
just
fight.
feel like this argument
Confusing.
sucks.
This is a fight. This argument. Listen.
Can we just do this one again another
What?
day?
Iron
Real
Man,
fans.
Why?
Iron Man versus
Are you
Darth
kidding?
Vader. They're
I'm
both
like-
wearing iron.
You're not using the Force, and you admit
No,
you didn't even like any of
He
them.
uses the freaking Force.
Me-
All right, Darth Vader will go to
Dude, I'm a
town.
hardcore Star Wars fan here, and
Wait,
the fact that
Mace Windu versus Nick Fury.
so
These
easy
are
to do,
secondary
Darth Vader
characters.
and-
They're secondary characters. Do the best of the best. Put the best of the best against each other. The best in Marvel, one of the best anyway, is Iron Man.
Wait
the
a minute.
best
Can
in
I
Star
stop?
Wars is
These guys got
Darth
to
Vader.
talk about
Put
for
them
like
against
20
each
minutes
other.
about
They're
each
both
other.
wearing
They were
iron.
shut down.
Hold
wearing
on.
iron.
My struggle is, you as admitted non-fan, I get it, but it has to be fight. So you didn't pick a fight. So now it's
I
hard
picked
for me
a
to.
fight. I've picked
You said you wanted a battle
You
of
wanted a
wits.
verbal
Yeah,
battle.
I want a verbal
That's
battle.
not fun.
That's
would
what
say-
I
But
enjoy.
it's fair. You're not.
Does Han
you
Solo
admitted
shoot
you're not a
first
huge
and kill
fan.
him? That'd be fun.
This question is just tough. And then you did pick just the two big
The
people, but you
biggest
took
ones.
out the Force.
Okay, well, put the Force back in. Okay,
No,
all
but
bets are off.
Come on.
All bets are off. Okay.
And then Mace Windu. All right, so tell me again. What does Mace Windu?
I'm talking about,
Nick
look,
Fury
but
do?
listen, but Andy, look at the initial
I'm
pitch.
listening.
I'm talking about. We're talking fantasy. Tarantino directing this, and you have.
We're not talking about directors. Sorry.
Shush now.
We could.
Shush
Let him
now.
pitch
We're
it.
talking about fantasy world in a rated R world. They were going to do a rated R video game, 1313, that got taken off. Finally get a rated R version. You have Mace Windu and Nick Fury, and Tarantino's directing it. You get the Tarantino dialogue between the two of those guys. We're talking about two fantasy characters. The purple lightsaber, it's my lightsaber, motherfucker. You have them screaming it.
It would be so confusing.
Of course it would, but it'd be a lot of fun because the dialogue and the fights and the fact that you can get the Avengers,
I don't
cheat.
understand what's happening here, and I don't know enough about these two. These two characters are not the most compelling characters.
I just didn't want to go
Marvel
all the way. You always go
Most compelling
Vader, or you go
characters.
Yoda. You can go Chris. You can go Star Lord.
So here's where I'm stuck.
The most
and I'm
compelling-
gonna
It's gonna be a lot
I
of
want to
fun.
wrap this up because let's see. Maybe surprise me. Maybe I'm being unfair. But pitch me quickly the pitch of the movie. Why is this movie going to be good? And I need you to use the universes to your advantage, and that's where I'm struggling. You might have trouble, but how do we make,
have the
as a
Avengers.
Star Wars and Marvel fan, why am I believing into this movie? Why
Mace
am I
Windu survived.
Mark, I'm sorry, Scott, quick.
The Avengers are the last stand to save the Earth from the Empire. And after a big battle, the only two left standing are Iron Man and Darth Vader. They are both wearing armor. They are the best known and most beloved characters in the cinematic universes of Marvel and of Star Wars. You pit them against each other. It's the dream fight. It's the ultimate fight. Who's
Fair
going to
enough.
win?
I went away from
Kristian.
like the actual trying to pitch a real movie from because it's a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago. It can never happen. So I went super fun, ridiculous.
Anything can happen in the movies, Christian.
You can't do but not in timeline. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But
It
the
could never
worst-
happen as far as present goes. Now, for me, I wanted to go fun and silly, almost like a fan film. And who would you want to do a fan film version of it? Tarantino. Just the fun dialogue to see what Nick
Is
Fury.
he playing both characters?
Yeah, you could do it in a. Look, Andy Serkis is
Really
playing.
confusing.
Andy Serkis can play a lot of different characters in the
he
performance
looks
capture way.
different.
But you can maybe change that up in a couple of years. We're talking about
different.
10, 20, 30 years from now. Who knows what's going to happen? I just think it would be very fun to watch a guy who's been in both franchises pit up against each other because they're two very different characters and with two different philosophies on life. And I think the philosophies
Okay.
on life is what could really make
Imagine.
Go ahead. Now sell me.
Imagine a
This is
movie.
anybody's game at this point.
a 2-hour movie.
Round.
A 2-hour movie with people talking.
Hey, that's my jam.
Star Wars versus Avengers.
All right,
That's
but go
my
ahead.
jam. Okay,
Pitch me your
imagine.
movie.
Yeah, I'm trying. Imagine a movie with directed by Jon Favreau. Because Jon Favreau did such a great thing with the Iron Man character. He made a non-comic book lover really love this character and feel for this character. A lot of that had to do with him, and a lot of that had to do with Robert Downey Jr., and those two are friends, and they work really well. I would love to see what he would do with Han Solo. I think that would be so much fun.
He had his chance with Cowboys and Aliens. It didn't work out that great.
Both of them are... Yeah, but that was a different premise.
But he
Let her-
still
let
worked.
her
with him.
speak.
All right.
Yeah, this is a cowboy in space. This is much cooler. And they're both great pilots, and they both have the great sarcastic wit. I just think they have the charm, the wit, and it would be a great battle between them. I just think when it gets down to semantics, it's like the Force always wins. And that's what lost me the last movie
That's
fight.
why Darth Vader would crush Iron Man in 2 seconds.
Well,
He wouldn't
And that's
so here's
why
my-
it's not
You're
interesting
talking about
to see
the
a
two-
fight.
the
It's
two-
not interesting.
Here's my all right. The question was best fight. I'm going to make a ruling just because this question was kind of silly. But you took away the Force.
Force
so you
always
did that in the beginning, and I don't. And then
Well, put it back. It's fine.
No, you took
We're
it out.
debating.
you took it out. I got
it
it
out.
based on what you did. You're just changing because I told you, and that shouldn't have changed your argument. But you took it out, and that just made it uninteresting. Because
I wanted to
then
make
there's-
it level. I wanted to make it
And then
even.
yours is just
Otherwise,
so
the fight
weird.
is.
So what? The fight. Look at the fight in Winter Soldier. What happened? The way that when Nick Fury got away. Remember that scene in what
You
he's
want
able to
Samuel
do in that
Jackson to
car?
play both people?
characters.
Why not? What?
It's
It's a
just
different
weird.
because you're living in the now, my friend.
Alicia wins.
Oh my God!
Wins.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Guys, do you want to see that question again
Yeah.
with true fans
Yeah.
who put some thought into it?
YouTube,
Was
please
that
don't
just
hate me.
stupid?
Don't hate
please
me.
tell me in the Twitter and the comments because I don't know. I was just
I went fun. I didn't
was
wanna go to
confused, and
semantics of
I
it.
maybe
I just think the
I thought it
Force
was
is always
crazy.
going to win that question.
The Force
so
is
it's
all,
an
that's why I
Yeah,
brought it
maybe
up.
it's a silly
If you-
question.
that's what-
Not necessarily. If you want to
don't
do the
take
Force, you know who
Force
could do the
out,
Force?
The fight lasts
Thor.
5
It's
minutes.
over.
Thor
It's
could
over.
do good against
It's
the Force.
over. I don't know why it bugged me as it was happening,
dying.
but it did.
Oh my
and
God,
I
I
apologize.
won.
Alicia got it. Just
Way to go. Battle of Wits.
Battle
Yeah.
of Wits would be funny to watch them.
It would be fun.
And
It
yours
would be
just
fun.
confused the heck out of me, and you took the Force out. So what's going to happen? Then it was just
Sorry,
cancellation.
Will.
I like my
I didn't think that was
version.
going to happen.
11902.
Round 7. Dan's giving me a look. He is so confused. What's happening? Hey, sometimes you just call
I
an
think you're
audible.
being a little hard on him.
I didn't mean to be hard. I apologize for being hard. Well, she admitted she was a non-fan. That's what I was just saying. I'm basing off that. You two did make interesting
But
debates.
for a non-fan, I did pretty well.
You did good.
All right,
Good
round
kid.
7, our last round here as we try and wrap this up because I'm always trying to be tighter and I didn't do it again. Damn it. Honest trailer tie-in as usual here in our last question. This week's Honest trailer wraps up a franchise trilogy. Yeah. And it's there's like 5 things in it that they sort of fight, right?
Yeah, I couldn't pick all the battles. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many battles there actually were. It's very confusing.
4.5
We will
rounds.
talk about that on Tuesday in our trailer. So that said, it's a final film in a series that should have never made this many films, we think. So we're asking you guys, what's the best final film of a final series? So a series that wrapped up. What was the best final chapter in the movie? Chapters. Alicia, starting with you.
I wish this was tequila. Okay, go with me here.
I'm ready.
When I was looking at the franchises, most of them haven't ended. So I was thinking about Toy Story 3, but then I thought, well, then another Toy Story is coming. So as far as a final film, that was definitely a final film.
That is the end of that trilogy. They did say the new movie will start a new.
Right. Well, I
branch.
was just thinking one that completely ends that whole franchise, and there's been no talk of anything further. Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. Now, it's a terrible movie. I will admit, it's a terrible movie.
Sure you don't want to go back to Toy Story 3?
Maybe.
No, let's hear it. All right.
So it's a terrible film. The whole franchise, I mean, the whole books. I read all the books, and it's all about abstinence. It's all about don't have sex, because if you do, then you'll have a vampire baby and you'll die and you have to be reborn as a vampire. But whatever, the fans love it. Bill Condon had a hell of a job to direct this movie and to make this one book compelling into two parts. So the final one, the reason that I like this final film in the franchise is because it got crazy and it did exactly what I really wanted it to do. There's that dream
Is that when she
sequence.
gives birth, or does that in the first?
It's the first
that
part of
happened.
that, yeah.
So you've got all these elements which seem ridiculous. You've got the vampire baby called Renesmee. You've got the werewolf that falls in love with the baby. That is super creepy. Then you have Bella, who's a slightly more interesting character as a vampire, but not much. And you've got Edward, who just pouts around the place. So it's never going to be a great movie, but the thing that I loved about it was seeing it in a packed theater with the fans. It has to be one of my favorite experiences ever because they did this crazy dream thing at the end where Alice has this premonition and you think it's real and everyone dies, and it is so awesome. There are heads flying everywhere, and just to hear the screams from the fans was one of the most satisfying experiences I've had. People were screaming, "No!"
Killing all their
Because
favorite people, yes.
I'm dark and disturbed. People were crying. People couldn't believe what was happening, and I was going, "Is this really happening? This is awesome!" And then the dream ends. But I thought, for what they did, they took that one sentence in the book and they made it great. So they did the best that they could with the franchise. And the best part about Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 was that it ended. No more Twilight.
Yes.
They're talking about it, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
All right. Good.
no
Good.
more
argument. Kristian, where do you stand?
I got to go with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 because for me, we were talking about it earlier on the show, is that Harry Potter started with the Christopher Columbus versions, even though, he was removed for it. I actually enjoyed 1 and 2 more than most people, but it started to really progress. Alfonso Cuarón's version, there was a third one that really changed the direction of it, and it got progressively better and better and better. And the last 2, and there's this trend now where everybody's splitting up the last 2 movies, but Harry Potter was one that needed to do it. It was a large book. For me,
Liked Part 1?
I liked Part 1 when you watch it as a whole. So I guess it really ties into my argument here as why overall.
Got to focus on the movie.
I know, but I'm saying one and 2, the movies, 1 and 2 combined together really hits as the overall lapping story is one continuous story.
But I want to be clear, we can't pick 2 films. You're picking Part 2, not Part 1.
Part
right?
2 of the movie concludes everything that led up until the very end of that film. Harry's arc goes all the way through from him being this timid kid who doesn't understand to really coming into his own of what he is as a wizard, to watch the progression of his friends. You have losses, you have sacrifice, you find out all the character arcs that you do normally in a really great television show with Snape and the progression of his character, why he did what he did. Most Harry Potter and movie fans were satisfied with the ending of that movie. It's why it's one of the most profitable franchises of all time, because it had a clear-cut beginning, it had a clear-cut end. Even though they're doing spin-off films, which is fine, Harry Potter's arc ended the way it should have, and for me, that's why it's my favorite.
Mantz, what's your pick?
Well, we're on a line here. A lot of talk about Jason Bourne. I'm going to go with The Bourne Ultimatum. Released on August 3rd, 2007. Double check my facts here, pal. First one came
take
out.
your word for it.
Bourne Identity
But
came out.
There's a new one coming out.
There's
There's
an
no.
ultimatum.
I have an argument here, pal.
Okay.
That's what this is about. This is called Movie Fights, and here's my
Wait,
fight.
but the names are confusing. Which one? This is
The
the
first
last
one,
one.
the first one was Bourne Identity, came out in June of 2002. The Bourne Supremacy came out in July of 2004, and the Bourne Ultimatum came out on August 3rd, 2007.
What's the new one?
The new one
with
is
Renner.
the Bourne. Oh, that's the Bourne Legacy. That does
Legacy,
not
okay.
count because that is a spin-off.
And
That
then
is
they
not part of
come
the
back.
trilogy.
It doesn't
Jason,
count.
of course, it is.
We-
Jason
it
Bourne
is-
is talked about a lot in that movie.
But he is not. He's only in it on a TV
then they're
screen.
coming
That's
back.
debatable.
We
And
discussed
they're coming
it.
back. Wait.
Yes.
All
All right, so
I haven't even
it's
started my
it's
argument here.
debatable. We let you have it. It's debatable.
Let
Tell
me have
yes.
it. Here's why. First of all, unlike your films, which are part twos, The Bourne Ultimatum stands on its own. You do not need to see the first two films to enjoy The Bourne Ultimatum. If you didn't see any of the Twilight movies, including Breaking Dawn Part 1, if you didn't see Deathly Hallows Part 1, good luck in trying to pick up Deathly Hallows Part 2, or unfortunately, or fortunately.
I think you can pick it up.
Well, but you even said it's a terrible movie, and it
Terrible
is.
movie.
But The Bourne Ultimatum is the best of the bunch. The first one was a lot better than people expected it to be because there were a lot of production problems. And that was directed by Doug Liman. Then Paul Greengrass comes in to the second film, brings the whole shaky camera thing into it, and it gives the movie a sense of urgency and real visceral thrill. And then the third film, The Bourne Ultimatum, takes it to another level. The story is smart, and you're really getting into
What happened in the third one?
you find out who he really is. I mean, don't forget, Jason Bourne
Didn't that
was
happen in the other two?
That's my argument.
Wait, hang on.
I'm not trying to be. Can you help me just remember which one? Because they all
They all
blur
meld
together.
together.
Say
Can
that,
you just
'cause
help me specifically? Tell me which one that was.
This is the one with Brian
Because I'm
Cox.
challenging you. Because if you can, I will be impressed.
The Brian Cox comes back and he, Jason Bourne confronts Brian Cox on his real identity.
Okay,
Remember?
yes,
And then
yep.
you've got the whole thing with the jumping across the rooftops and jumping into one apartment and then onto the next one. The action scenes of that movie were fantastic. The shaky camera, the visceral thrill, it was pulse pounding, really kept you on the
Is that
edge
where
of
he
your
jumped
seat.
through the window?
I think that was
into
number
the-
two.
Yes,
That was
That
the
was a
second
great
one.
sequence.
that was
Yes.
a great. No, that was the third movie. Now
The
what-
magazine though is two, right?
Yes, the magazine was two. But what made the third movie
And the
great
toothbrush
was
is one?
it stood on its own. It stood on its own. But if you see the first two movies, Bourne Ultimatum ends the way the first movie started, where you see Jason Bourne floating in the water, you think he's dead, and then he swims away. Now here's why, even though they have announced that they are doing another Jason Bourne film with Matt Damon and with Paul Greengrass, what makes this a complete trilogy is that these are the three movies that were based on the three books that were written by Robert Ludlum. So whatever happens beyond that, of course, Universal sees that Bourne is a franchise and a cash cow. They're going to want to keep it going just the same way that the Broccoli's went past Ian Fleming's James Bond books to keep those movies going. But you look back, you look back on Dr. No, Goldfinger, From Russia with Love. Those are official because they were based on the actual works. Hang on.
Yeah. I just need to have them get some thoughts in too.
Okay, last thought is, again, this is a trilogy. This will be seen as the official trilogy because Bourne 4 hasn't been made yet.
I don't know. I bet you they package all four of them.
Yeah,
in
they're
DVD
gonna.
sets
They
again.
are. They are. Listen, they are going to package them. And the thing is, what you said before. We're talking about the movies, not the books. So you made all the author references that you want. We're talking. People will absolutely see. It's Jason Bourne. It's Matt Damon. It's Paul Greengrass. It's the fourth movie. And when you talk about you can watch the third one and not be lost. I love the Bourne trilogy. You will be more than lost.
I disagree.
Because it ties into all of his story elements. What did he say? His last point was the fact you find out who he is. If you watch the third one, wait a minute, he didn't know who he was because they set that up so well in the first one. And in the second one, the progression of his character, like I made with my movie, Harry's progression of his character by the
So
very
wait,
end.
you're saying you need to see the other ones?
I think you need to see. I think you just need
You
to
need
see.
to s- but Harry
I'm not,
Potter,
I'm not
you
making
don't
the
need to
argument.
see
No,
the
I'm
other
not
movies?
making the argument that you don't have to see the
I'd
rest.
say
Of course-
Twilight. You
need to
pick
see
up
8
everything
movies
that's
before
in
you
it.
see that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a terrible
Come on,
movie.
Scott, stop. Sorry. Seriously. Like what you have to do for all you have to watch all of the Harry Potter movies. You have to watch all of the Twilight movies. You have to watch all the Bourne movies. The argument is not do you have to watch the movie. The argument is what is
But
the
also-
best ending of it.
Yes,
and with
that
your
is the
movie,
argument.
your thing with the battle at the very end. I agree with you. Best part, you said you see it, everyone dies. The problem, it was bullshit. They don't all die, and when that to me ended.
Come on, that emotional montage at the end.
When
they
they
relive through the history of Twilight.
But when they do, and what about the emotional montage in Harry Potter at the very end when they're all older together and they're holding hands? Everyone leaves like, oh, they all made it. So to me,
and the old people makeup.
And it worked.
Yeah,
And and what I loved about Alicia's argument is the admission that this movie is terrible. We know that it's terrible, but it's not a great movie. It's not a great ending because you watch and you go, oh man, thank God it's over. You don't leave going, oh, what a satisfying ending that was. That's what you get with Harry Potter. And
did you guys think the Harry Potter finale was satisfying? And then go ahead, but I'm just curious, did that end the series well for you both?
Yes, it did end the series. But the thing that I was reading about this question was, what is the end of a film series? There are more Bourne movies. There's going to be Harry Potter spin-offs. There are no more Twilights, and thank God for that.
Well, they're talking about Twilight.
They're talking about
it, but it's not confirmed.
Technically,
Like you guys.
Well,
50 Shades of Grey was fan fiction of Bella and Edward. That
Correct.
Well, it's
adapted.
Yeah.
We started this conversation. By the way, the movie that I was going to go with was Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I wish one of you would have picked it.
Yeah.
I did pick it.
I
That
just
was
It was
thought
on my
we
list.
couldn't.
It was on my
Oh,
list.
doesn't count?
that
I
was
thought we couldn't.
Deemed because of part 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
but
Bourne made it.
Bourne made it.
But Bourne made it, and Bourne made it because
Technically, Toy Story 3 is the end of the film.
That's right. And
They've
Bourne-
gone on record saying
right.
4 is a
And
new
Bourne
trilogy.
isn't.
But
Bourne
anyway,
continue.
that's semantics on that's our fault.
4 for Bourne, with Matt Damon, will also be its own thing. Just like, listen, if you look at the Star Trek film series, the trilogy of that films are Star Treks 2, 3, and 4. Those stand alone on their own, and the third film of that trilogy, Star Trek 4.
But are they doing a new trilogy? I'm
whatever they're
struggling
doing
because
with Bourne.
we don't know if it's a you're just making assumptions at the film end. But what I'm arguing is I think Legacy did continue the Bourne story.
Yeah.
But it did not continue with Matt Damon. It did not
But
continue
he's
with
mentioned.
Jason
He's
Bourne.
mentioned throughout
He's
it.
mentioned, but
It's
it's a
all
different
about-
character.
It's the same
It's a
organization, the same
different-
reason they were talking
but
about
it's a
time.
Anyway,
different
I want
It's a
to get us
spin-off.
over. I want
It's
to
a
try and wrap it
spin-off.
up. So we're getting into semantics, and that shouldn't be the point. But the question is, what was the best final film of a series? You admitted your film sucks.
But for what they
yours
have
is
to
sort
work
of
with.
not really finished. Kristian gets the point.
Oh, no one claps.
No, it's not. It's fine. Thanks, JT. Very nice.
All right, wow, this was a very good episode. Can I just
fun.
say? So do we know what our scores are? That's right.
Yeah,
so
I'm
now,
losing.
wow,
Scores,
you just pulled ahead of Scott. So it's Alicia and Kristian go to the final round with
Speed
3-3. Scott, you did really well though. I have to
tough,
say,
Scott.
kudos. First round, you were right up there, and your knowledge of dates was beyond impressive. Dan, anything you'd like to add?
I'm
before
sorry,
we
just
do
very
our
quickly before we jump into the speed round, not to add to the confusion about which Bourne movie was which, but Brian Cox is not in the third movie. He's in the first
I
two,
lost anyway.
and Albert Finney's in the third movie.
All right, good. I'm glad I
just
rolled
wanted to
them out,
clear that
'cause we didn't even remember which one was which.
I was trying to.
Speed
They're great
rounds.
movies.
Good movies, but they all do kind of blend together, right? All right, speed round. Now you guys know how this
Yes.
works.
Yes.
Now I'm going to rattle off a question. First answer, if you both say the same thing, I go with whoever said it first.
Okay.
If you both say something else, you get a quick second to make your argument.
I've been working on
Are we
this.
ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's cue the music. Fast, quick answers. I might ask for some help, so listen carefully. Round 1. Who is Hollywood's best Robert?
Redford.
Daddy Jr.
Ooh, I was thinking De Niro. Because I just read it the first time. Well, those are all good choices. All right, why Redford?
Redford, the Sundance Kid. He has proved himself as both an actor and a director. He's had a long history in Hollywood, and he created Sundance Film Festival, which has had such a great platform for independent filmmakers. So he's the best Redford all around, and he's still got it. He's still charming, sexy.
I think it's your definition of Hollywood, because if you're talking about today's Hollywood and what makes the blockbuster, what makes a box office star, Downey clearly is with the blockbuster movie. He's become Iron Man.
Redford was in Captain America 2.
He was, but he's not. But
Alicia wins!
Way to go, Alicia!
Just to clarify, are you allowed to jump in while the other person's making a point? Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
But I
Cool.
think I was leaning towards it anyway because it's a longer history versus Iron
It is,
Man. That's
it
a
is.
tough one.
Redford's the man.
All right.
Isn't it?
Best movie starring Jaden Smith.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Karate Kid.
What did you say?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, okay. And Karate Kid. Ooh.
The reason why
Kind of a
Karate.
trick question. There's not that many to pick.
But the reason why Karate Kid, that movie should have been a disaster. It should have been horrible. No one needs to ever make a remake of Karate Kid, and they did.
And it wasn't
Jaden Smith's chemistry throughout that movie somehow. After Earth was a fart bomb, but what he did, he actually made you care about him in this role that Daniel LaRusso did. For some reason, he was really great in that movie.
He wasn't as good as in The Pursuit of Happiness. You felt for his character. He was the heart of
He was
this.
4. Of course you're going to feel sorry.
He was the heart of this, and having chemistry with his dad, it made the stories feel so real.
He didn't even know he was in a movie.
The moment when he was in the train station and they locked themselves in the bathroom and Will Smith is holding on to him, and the moment when Will Smith says to him, you can do whatever you want, you know, don't believe in people who say you can't do whatever you want. He was such an emotional part of the movie, so that's
You know what I'm
Alicia gets a point.
Alicia gets a point.
That's the point. Wow, 2-up.
Alicia, you're on fire.
Now one more and she wins, right?
Yes, 2 more questions.
You have 3 more. You got to
3
get
more.
all of them,
Got it.
Kristian.
All right,
Are we good here?
Yeah.
Okay, these 2 movies are playing on cable. Which should we watch? XXX State of the Union or Too Fast, Too Furious?
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Who said it first?
Too Fast, Too Furious.
I think Alicia said it first.
Oh my God.
Alicia gets the win!
Oh, man.
Wow! She pulled through to speed round!
I want to see videotape.
Yeah, be like,
Guys in the broom, did you hear it too? It's Alicia, right? Yes. Wow, that was a good speed round.
That was fun.
Can I say, I've been practicing because I sucked so badly last time that I've been practicing, like coming up with answers quickly.
Like
That was
practicing in the
impressive.
mirror.
That was a good one.
That was a good
That
speed
was a
round.
good speed round. All right. Wow. Fantastic episode,
That was
guys.
good.
There was some heated and really strong. I loved it. Thank you guys for taking this so serious.
That was a lot of fun.
Playing so strong. I apologize if I was getting frustrated on our Marvel topic, but hey, I just
part of
flew in
movie
a
fights.
red eye.
It's part of movie
I
fights.
apologize to the audience if I did that. Anyway, fantastic episode. Thank you guys so much. Let me do my wrap ups here. Tell us in the comments below, as always, or on Twitter, what fights you want to see next. I'm happy to announce that now, Alicia, you've gone into the bracket.
Yeah.
You'll be taking on Nick Mundy against Roger Barr.
Oh, no.
The winner of that will have you might have one more shot to get that belt. So this is exciting up there.
gonna be tough.
You're close again. You've gone up against it. And you were there, so you have an advantage.
I want that belt.
You have a
get
shot
it.
at it.
got it,
Fantastic
Alicia.
job, guys. Again, please, if you're watching on YouTube, go subscribe. I'm sorry, if you're watching on YouTube, go subscribe to our iTunes and check out our new podcast link there. We have RSS feed. We would love for you to subscribe, comment, and all that jazz. And always, as always, in the YouTube comments, tell us what you want to see. I want to thank our panelists. Alicia Malone, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to plug or say hi to?
Yeah, make sure you check out Profiles, which is a show I do with Mantz every week on Popcorn Talk Network.
Great show.
Great
Thank
show.
you.
We just did an episode on David Lynch. It was awesome. And
Awesome.
at Alicia Malone. if you
At
wanna
Alicia
follow
Malone
me
on Twitter.
everywhere.
Please
Yeah.
follow her. She is lovely. Kristian,
thanks.
thank you for coming here. What do you
It was a lot of fun. Congratulations, Alicia.
Schmoes Know channel. If you aren't
yeah.
subscribed already, you better be there.
Please go to subscribe to on YouTube Schmoes Know, and we just had the girl Giselle from Kingsman. We had her on the show last night. Go
How
watch
was
that
that?
episode. She's awesome, dude. It's a lot of fun.
Great.
So please go subscribe and watch that interview.
watch that interview.
And Mark
Great.
Hamill, we interviewed him too. Thanks to you.
For the shirt.
Yep.
Schmoesknow.com. You can
shirt,
pick up the
yes.
shirts.
Yes.
Movie
Okay,
Mantz.
Movie Mantz,
Thank you so much
catch-
for being here. What is your Twitter again? Sorry.
It's,
At
it's
Movie Mantz, right?
I'm at Movie Mantz, and like my amazing, lovely,
Don't
talented
bet.
co-host, co-producer on Profiles, Alicia Malone. Make sure you go to our Facebook page, which is Profiles with Malone and Mantz. Like our Facebook page so you can keep up to date on who our next profile is going to be, and also join in all the fun as we debate all these movies. I'm also on Access Hollywood, so catch my reviews at accesshollywood.com or watch Access Hollywood over the weekends. You'll see
And
my
try and
stuff.
stump him on Twitter with dates.
I know.
Try to
Yeah.
start
Oh,
on
good
Twitter
luck.
with dates.
Good
If
luck.
I have nothing else, if I leave here with my head down in
I'm
shame,
impressed.
No,
We have
it's
a
not
new
happening.
we have a new
Good
potential
first
fact
performance.
checker to sit in when you're not there, Dan.
Oh yeah.
not
Oh,
in
yeah.
Speaking of fact checking, Bravo today at Murrell. Dan, thank you so much. Are you nervous?
Whoever wins next week, I lose because that's 3 great
This is a good-
competitors.
that is
Plus
good.
Spencer. I don't. Oh man, it's tough. It's
It's gonna be
tough.
tough.
This is really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be a battle. So, yeah, I forgot. And the Spencer Slam bracket, we got 2 brackets. They're going to go up against you, but man, it's going to be intense. Wow. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please follow me on Twitter at Andy Signore on Twitter and Instagram. Please tell us what you thought. And always keep coming in with those comments, #movie fights, to make sure you tell us what we need to do. Have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.